Hello and welcome back to the King James Bible Sunday School channel on YouTube and Rumble. Our day-by-day devotional today is going to be from 365 Days a Year with D.L. Moody. Today is May the 15th, 2024. Before we go to the devotional, though, let's get our daily Bible reading in and our schedule, that is. I say that and sometimes I think, maybe they think I'm going to read the Bible. And might do that in a different way, um, on a different type of program, but not this today. Uh, May 15th, today we are reading First Chronicles, just to get through the Bible in 1 year. First Chronicles chapters 20 through 23, 20, 21, 22, and 23. And 4 chapters there. And I'm not going to go into all what it is or anything. And then tomorrow would be 24, 25, 26, 3 chapters on tomorrow. That again to get through the Bible in a year. Now, this is our 6-month schedule from the KJV Devotional Bible. And that will be 2 Samuel chapters 22 and 23, Ezekiel chapter 29 and chapter 30, and Galatians chapters 2 and 3. That's 2 Samuel 22, 23, Ezekiel chapters 29, 30, and Galatians 2 and 3. And then tomorrow would be the last chapter of Samuel and the first chapter of 1 Kings. Then 2 more chapters of Ezekiel, 2 more chapters of Galatians. And you'd be through Galatians pretty quick there. And it won't be too much longer to the end of Ezekiel. But May the 5th, May the 15th, the devotional come from Galatians chapter 3 and verse number 24. And when I read this and I started reading, I was like, oh, wait a minute, I really need to read through this before I go ahead and get to it, because I'll tell you what I'm just saying. But Galatians chapter 3 and verse number 24. Galatians chapter number 3 and verse 24. The law is our schoolmaster to bring us to Christ. The law is our schoolmaster to bring us to Christ. All right, he says, doctrines are to the soul what the streets which lead to the house of a friend who has invited me to dinner are to the body. They will lead me there if I take the right one. But if I remain in the streets, my hunger will never be satisfied. Feeding on doctrines is like trying to live on dry husks, and lean indeed must be the soul, or rather must the soul remain, which will not partake of the bread sent down from heaven. The last part again, the last sentence. Feeding on doctrines is like trying to live on dry husks, and lean indeed must the soul remain, which will not partake of the bread sent down from heaven. And like I said, when I first read it, I was like, wait a second, because a lot of times, and D.L. Moody is an evangelist, a lot of times there are evangelists that have a certain way of preaching or certain things that they'll say. And there's a certain air about them, atmosphere, that is a particular way. Now, that's the devotional thought, and that is a great thought, and it's deeper than you might think it is. I think that my initial part of reading it was like, wait a minute, doctrine is extremely important. Doctrines, we have a lot of problems because of a lack of doctrine today. But the doctrine that I'm saying doctrine is slightly different since than he's saying doctrine. And but I agree with what he's saying. In fact, I would lean toward better. It's better to understand it the way that D.L. Moody just said it. Um, and as the passage goes, the law was our schoolmaster to bring us to Christ, and it is so important to recognize that and the things that are said. Um, let's see. Bear with me a second. Sorry about the little uh, pause there. But yes, trying to think about it again. It's like the law is our schoolmaster to bring us to Christ, and that's what he's saying. Is doctrine is the law, or the schoolmaster, the teaching itself. There's the doctrine that he's talking as he's saying it, and as is really best understood too, is the method and the way of teaching and the direction and like he said, the road that leads to, or the teaching about that gets you to the thing. Um, although I think of it more as the teaching is going with Christ, because it's all about Him. I've been reading some in doctrinal statements of faith, confessions of faith, and it's been a long time. Baptists and type of people, Bible believers, have been saying that the Bible is to be interpreted by Christ, is to be interpreted in the light of Christ, is to be interpreted in the way it relates to Christ, in all the time. That is the way that it is to be understood. It's not understood outside of Christ. And so when I'm thinking of teaching, I'm thinking that they're so closely related, like a doctrine, a doctrinal statement, and a doctrinal position to be held is for me, while it's the road, it's walking with Christ on that road, whatever the thing is, whether it's baptism or whether it's the Lord's Supper, it's the church doctrine, or it's the doctrine of salvation, or it's the doctrine of inspiration of the Scriptures, or it's the doctrine of the authority of the Scriptures, or it's the doctrines of this, that, and the other. It all is, the way he's saying it, of course, is leading you to be a partaker of the bread of life. That's the guiding factor of it. But slightly different than the way he said it, which I'm not improving upon what he said. I don't think. Maybe I am. I'm not sure. But I'm saying I'm not correcting him or something. I'm just saying it a little differently. Is that instead of the friend just inviting me and saying, "Come down this road and you'll get to me," he's taking me down that road with him. That's the doctrine. That's doctrine in my life and in my understanding. And now it can become where it's like, okay, you get the method in the ABC 1 2 3 XYZ down, and it's being it in instead of walking right by Christ, he's he's gone on ahead, and I'm focusing on the layout of the road too much. Maybe I can do that, and anybody else can do that. And if you're doing that, the best thing to do is get the focus right. Let's get our focus on Christ. It's where we're supposed to be, and that's why devotions are really important too. Spending time devotionally with God is important, because usually it's not the specific doctrinal teaching and an outline and stuff like that. It's more simplistic than that. Uh, I guess is the best way for me to say it, because it's hopefully we've gotten there with the doctrines, or it's those doctrines are in our minds and in our hearts, and we understand them, so that we understand Christ aright, because the right road gets us there to the bread of life. But we're actually spending some time partaking of the bread of life. That's what we do devotionally. So it's very important. So we've got to spend time with our Lord. Got to spend time in His Word. Got to spend time in prayer. got to spend time being thankful, got to spend time praising Him, and got to spend time inquiring, asking, um, looking for His blessings upon us, because He's so ready to bless us. Uh, that's another thing entirely. So, not going to get into that right now. I think I've rambled on enough, but I really enjoyed after my initial, like, wait a second, I'm not sure what he's saying. I want to make sure he's not casting out doctrine. No, he was trying to put it back into its right place and put our focus back into the right thing, which is that doctrine teaches us something about the Lord. Teaches us something about the Lord. That means there are outside questions that are not really doctrine. There's a lot of people that think, there's a lot of people nowadays that think there are certain doctrines being taught in the Bible, or there's doctrinal teaching where their preacher said something that was just his opinion, a basic idea of what the way he looks at a thing, basically, rather than an actual biblical doctrine. And that's unfortunate. But again, can't get into all that. But I think some of you may know some of the things I'm talking about. Some of you may be wondering, and pursue it a little further. Leave a comment below if you like. If you want to like the video, that'd be great. Be glad to try to answer any questions that come in too, and we maybe do a video if some question comes in that's really provoking in some way that we want to get into that idea. I've even got some ideas about what we may have to do here not too long from now. But anyway, little teaser. So, spend time with the Lord today, and we'll see you again tomorrow for another day-by-day devotional. Bye.